I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to tell you about the easiest and shortest classics that I recommend. I hear people say a lot, I want to read classics, but they're just too long. Well, I'm here to tell you not every classic is 1,000 pages long. All the classics I'm going to show you here today are between 150, maybe up to 250 pages. Or maybe you're a person who loves reading long classics, but right now you're just not in the mood for a long classic. You're just not ready to commit to the kind of time it takes to read a long classic, and you feel like, I just want something short and sweet. Before we get into these short and sweet classics, I want to make sure that you know that Books for MKs is a charity that donates books to missionary kids. Today's MK shoutout goes to Lucy, who is 9 years old and lives with her family in Kenya. Lucy loves Little House on the Prairie and Narnia. She is a girl after my own heart because those are two of my favorites. If you want to donate to Lucy and children like her, you can do so at gofundme.com. And don't forget to subscribe, click on that little notification bell, and give this video a big thumbs up. I have a lot of books to show you, so we're going to go through these as quickly as I can. Some of the first ones that I have to talk about are pretty no-brainers. Most people have heard of them, but it bears repeating. Obviously, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, the whole Little Women trilogy is absolutely wonderful, and they're not very long. Technically, Little Women, as we usually see it published, is 2 books. It's Little Women and Good Wives, so if you were to break it up into 2 books, then it would be pretty short. And then, of course, the trilogy continues with Little Men and Jo's Boys. Louisa May Alcott just writes some of my favorite books. Another favorite of mine is the 8 Cousins duology, which starts with 8 cousins and then finishes up with Rose in Bloom. Rose in Bloom is a little bit longer, but it doesn't feel long. It's such an easy classic to read. Louisa May Alcott wrote just so many books, and most people only know Little Women. Another favorite of mine is An Old-Fashioned Girl. This one's really good. It is slightly longer. I want to say it's like 290 something pages probably. But again, it's such easy reading that it doesn't feel long. The Inheritance is a really short one with only 184 pages, which is about this orphan girl who discovers that she has an inheritance. A little more of a serious book from Louisa May Alcott is Work, which is about a young woman who has to work for her livelihood and the struggles that she goes through, but it's very good. It's very inspirational. She also wrote a lot of short stories with sort of more of a dark mood. One of the collections of her short stories is called A Marble Woman, and it's really like sensational and thrilling, and there's lots of, betrayals and poisoning. Some of it is actually so dramatic that it's funny, but a lot of it is, very heartbreaking and chilling. Another one of her heartbreaking and chilling novels is Moods. This is about a young lady who is very passionate and she marries the wrong man, and then she has to pay for it later on. The next ones that I want to mention are also very well known. It's the Anne of Green Gables series. Anne of Green Gables books are all very short and they're easy and fun to read. Lucy Maud Montgomery also wrote a ton of short stories. So if you're in the mood for, a 6-page classic, then definitely read a Lucy Maud Montgomery short story collection. Pretty much any book written by Lucy Maud Montgomery is just absolute gold. I love her work. She is my most read author. I have spent years collecting all of her books, and I just cannot recommend them enough. If you have not read Lucy Maud Montgomery, or maybe you read the first book of Anne of Green Gables and it just kind of wasn't your style, give another one of her books a try. All of these are short, and these are all really wonderful introductions to classics, or if you just want a simple and easy classic that doesn't take a lot of time. Another one that's well known, of course, is Jane Austen. Most of Jane Austen's books aren't too long. I mean, they're not like 600-700 pages long. I think her shortest one is Persuasion, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, I know in the edition that I have, 224 pages. So in the editions that I have, Persuasion looks like the shortest one. And it's also one of my favorites. So if you're looking for a place to start, Jane Austen is a good place to start. Her novels do not go on and on and on forever. If some classic adventure, the 39 Steps by John Buchan is a very good place to start. This is only 96 pages, and it is amazing. It's all about spies and intrigue and adventure. It's just so cool. And then the series continues with Green Mantle, and he goes undercover in disguise in the Orient. This one's only 216 pages, and just this whole series is so cool. Some of John Buchan's other books can be a little more lengthy, but most of these books in the 39 Steps series are pretty short and a good place to start with some classic adventure. Another spy adventure is The Man Who Was Thursday by G.K. Chesterton. This one is 140 pages. This story is kind of bizarre and weird, and there's spies and intrigue and everything, but it's like it goes so much deeper into these spiritual themes. So it's very short, but there is a lot in there. Another G.K. Chesterton favorite is Father Brown. These are short stories, kind of in a Sherlock Holmes kind of style, except the detective is a priest. If you have seen the Netflix Father Brown show, let me just tell you, this is totally different. I mean, kind of the characters sort of are a little bit the same, but the whole setup of how he, solves the mysteries and stuff is just totally different from the TV show. The TV show ruined it, okay? So if you're looking for some really good sleuthing short stories, Father Brown is a good place to go. The next one is the Scarlet Pimpernel series by Baroness Orczy. This is about a man who goes into the French Revolution and saves people from the guillotine. So there is a lot of adventure. I have loved every book that I've read in this series, and it is just, the intrigue is so amazing, and you never quite know what's going to happen in the plot. If you have already read your Father Brown and you've already read your Sherlock Holmes and you're still looking for more amazing sleuthing short stories, you have to read Raffles. Raffles was written to be the counterpoint of Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes upholds the law and catches criminals. Raffles is a criminal. And believe me, you will have so much fun cheering for him and hoping that he doesn't get caught. He is a gentleman thief, and he does it with so much panache and elegance. I absolutely love Raffles, and these short stories are so fantastic. Of course, Sherlock Holmes is on this list. All of the Sherlock Holmes novels are short, and of course the short stories are short and they're easy to read. The language is very simple to follow, so it's not like long convoluted sentences and stuff. I would actually start with Sherlock Holmes. I know I'm saying Sherlock Holmes after the other ones that I said, but first I would read Sherlock Holmes, then I would read Raffles, then I would read Father Brown. Most of Alexandre Dumas' books are massive. I think Count of Monte Cristo is like 1,000-something pages, but one of his shorter novels is The Black Tulip. The Black Tulip is set in Holland when, tulips were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This one is set in 1672, and it is this, just Three Musketeers type adventure, but it actually follows this simple tulip farmer, and there's this betrayal, and it's just, it's so good, and it's pretty short. It is, 240 pages, so definitely doable. If you want to start with Dumas, but you're just like, Dumas, I cannot sit here for 1,500 pages and read this massive book, start with The Black Tulip. This is a good place to start with Dumas. The next one is the Hornblower series by C.S. Forester. Now, most of the Hornblower books are a little longer. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. The shortest one is this one. It's Hornblower During the Crisis, and it's 162 pages. All of these are full of adventure on the high seas, and you guys know I love me some high seas, pirates, adventure, shipwrecks, and all that good stuff. When I was a kid, I think I probably read Johnny Tremain 5 or 6 times. But I loved Johnny Tremain. Oh my goodness. This is about a young man who is apprenticed to a silversmith, and he injures his hand. And then as the American Revolution is happening, he is wishing that he could go to battle, but he has this injury. And it's kind of a coming of age story, and you see a lot of the, civil unrest and the Boston Tea Party and all of things that are led up to the American Revolution. But what really gets me is just Johnny's personal life and his personal journey to accept the limitations of this injury that he has. And it's just so good. There's so many good characters and everything. I have to include The Wind in the Willows because this is just a forever favorite. I've read Wind in the Willows so many times, and I find something new every time, and it just blows my mind every time how simple it is, but also full of wisdom, like just this innocent, simple wisdom. I love it. Now this one looks like a big one, but it's actually 3 novels in one. I would recommend starting with King Solomon's Mines. I don't know why this starts with she. That's weird to me. But King Solomon's Mines, I want to say, is 150 pages, maybe 170 pages. It's not that long. And of course, it is this amazing African adventure, out in the jungle, in the bush. It's really cool because it's just all of this action out in the wild. And of course, there's treasure and ancient civilizations and all kinds of good stuff. Next, I have to talk about Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling is amazing. I just love so many of his books. I recommend starting with The Jungle Book because it's actually kind of broken up into short stories. A lot of people don't realize it's actually the Jungle Books. There's books 1 and 2, and it's all different short stories. Sometimes following Mowgli, in the Jungle Book story that we know about Mowgli and the wolves and Shere Khan and all of that. But sometimes there are other short stories included in the Jungle Books as well. Another great collection of short stories from Rudyard Kipling is Plain Tales from the Hills. These are very similar to the types of stories you would see in the Jungle Book as well. And then there is The Man Who Would Be King and other stories. So he just wrote so many short stories, and all of them are just amazing. Other short stories would be from O. Henry. A lot of people know The Gift of the Magi, from O. Henry, but a lot of people don't read his other short stories, and they're all so poignant and just so, I don't know how to put it, sensitive in a way. Just very subtle, but very powerful. This is another one that looks big, but it's 2 novels in one. If you read just The Prisoner of Zenda, I think it's 230 pages, something like that. Prisoner of Zenda is about a young man who goes to visit a country and finds out that he is a perfect doppelganger for their king. And so he is hired as sort of a body double for the king, so that the king can stay safe, and then, the guy can go in parades and stuff, and then the king won't be exposed to possible assassins and all kind of stuff. But then, of course, it all goes wrong. I'm not gonna give it away, but it's amazing. It's so, adventure and good stuff. And then the second book in that series is Rupert of Hentzau, which is also amazing, and I can't really say anything about that without spoiling it, but it's just so good. The next 2 are by George MacDonald. I have Lilith and Fantastes. I don't know how to say it, but there it is. Both of these are very fairy tale-esque, but I don't know, but so much deeper than fairy tales. They're like these philosophical journeys. Like this person goes on some kind of spiritual, quest, and everything that they meet in the fairy tale land has some kind of, spiritual meaning behind it. So it's very deep. I really feel like you have to read it at least twice to even kind of get what's going on. But once you do, it is just so powerful. Both of these are really fantastic, and they're short, but there's just so much in there. The next one is The Red House Mystery by A.A. Milne, the creator of Winnie the Pooh. So he actually wrote a murder mystery, for adults. And it's the typical setup, and it's the basic kind of whodunit stuff. This is only 236 pages and a fantastic mystery. The next one is Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. This is 198 pages, and you might think you know the story of Treasure Island because you've seen the movies, but let me tell you, it is so different from any movie that you've seen. First of all, just the way that the author kind of weaves this story and this mood and everything could just never be captured on screen. Just the act of reading it is just so different from watching a movie. So even though you think you might know Treasure Island, give this a try. And then we have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is about a young man who kind of magically has this connection to a portrait, and every bad thing he does and every bad thought he has, it shows up on this portrait as this ugly face. But he himself remains beautiful and has an innocent visage. It's kind of like this weird psychological thriller. This has never been my favorite, but I know some people enjoy this style, and I like it enough that I still own the book. And of course it's short, and it is interesting. Next, I have a whole bunch of Mark Twain because he wrote a lot of short stories, and most of his novels are short. The Prince and the Pauper is 212 pages. Again, if you think you've seen a movie or something of Prince and the Pauper and you think you know the story of how they switch places and all of that, you just don't know. You just don't know how good the book actually is. Try reading the book. It is so fantastic. And it's funny. You don't even know how funny Mark Twain is. He is just weirdly hilarious. The next one's obviously Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn. And my favorite, Tom Sawyer Abroad. Tom Sawyer Abroad is 109 pages. This is a simple, easy read and so funny and so much fun. Actually, I think I like Tom Sawyer Abroad more than the regular Tom Sawyer. There's also a Tom Sawyer Detective. Then I have a couple of Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days, and The Journey to the Center of the Earth. Let's see, Journey to the Center of the Earth is 250 pages. So these are quick and easy and full of adventure, you know, and strange lands, and just so much fun. The last one on my list is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is only 232 pages. Again, if you think you know the story of Frankenstein, or you think you've seen some movie of Frankenstein or something, the book is just so different. There's so much like philosophical musings in here about the nature of humanity and what it means to be alive and what it means to be human, and you know what it means, what are the differences between good and evil. Like if you think you're doing good for some people but you're actually doing evil to others, can you really say that you're being good? Interspersed between all the action, there are all these like philosophical questions that Frankenstein and the monster are trying to answer. And those are the, how many was that, 28 something? Probably more than that. And those are the quick and easy classics that I recommend to everyone. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these and which one is your favorite. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.